So the time has come that we need to review this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL after my long term of my usage, and it has been like 45 days that I have been daily driving this device over here. And again, the iPhone 16 series are out as of filming this video, and also the dust has settled and the hype has settled down about this device. And the only one word that if I need to describe this device as, I would just say slow. And if it were three words, I would say slow and unpaid. And this does not mean that it is a bad device at all. It is really a great device, and it is better than a lot of Android devices that we have in the market in a very similar price range. But today in this video, let us see that what this smartphone is all about, and let us first talk about this hardware and the design of this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, because this is the first thing that you would notice when you would pick up this device. It is a very refined device, and it will again give you a lot of resemblance with the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the 16 Pro Max because of the pure weight and the dimensions of this device. Because yes, it does look very similar to the last years of iPhone 15 Pro Max in the terms of the dimensions. It is a 6.8 inches display on this device over here versus a 6.7 inches on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And again, it has got all the straight edges over here. And even though it might not be the most comfortable smartphone to hold in the hand, it does look a bit more refined, and also it does look a bit more weighty than what we had on the Google Pixel 8 Pro from the past year. And also, it might be a coincidence or no, but the weight on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is 221 grams. That is very much similar to what we had on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But I am not a big fan of this shiny railings on this smartphone over here. I think even though that it does look decent, but I just love the matte finishes on the latest iPhones and also the latest Samsungs that we have in the market, because one, it does feel a bit more comfortable, and also it does feel a bit more premium in the hand and not this shiny frame over here. And again, it is not something like a titanium finish on this device. It is a simple old aluminum finish with this shiny frame over here. But you would notice one thing, that if you're holding this smartphone for a bit longer without a case, you would see a lot of sweat around your fingers, and this smartphone might feel a bit more slippery than it should already have been. Now, the next thing on this device is again this display that is a 6.8 inches display, but now it is a super extra display, and it is a 3000 nits of peak brightness. That is better than what you have got on most of the Android flagship smartphones. But another thing that I just loved about this display over here is that the colors on this display are a bit more neutral. They are not a bit more warm and a bit more yellow like what you see on the iPhones and also on a lot of Samsung smartphones. But now another thing of this device in the design is this camera bump over here, and a lot of people would think so that the camera bump on this device is actually larger than the most of the smartphones that we have got in the market. Especially if you compare this with the latest iPhones, I would say that the camera hump on this thing is not as big as what you have got on the iPhone 15 Pro Max from the last year. Again, I do not want to compare it with the iPhone 16 because of the similar dimensions on this device versus this iPhone 16. If you just hold both of these devices back to back and if you just try to align them, you would see that the camera on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, it does touch the back of this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, which is just insane. Because on paper, or even if you just look at the iPhone 15 Pro Max or even the iPhone 16 series, it does not seem like the camera hump on those devices is big as much as of what you have got on this thing. But again, you do not have this camera visor on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, just like what you had with the Google Pixel 8 Pro. And I would just say it is more like a camera island than a visor over here. And I just prefer the look of this device versus what we had on the Google Pixel 8 Pro. But again, I did love the pale blue color on the Google Pixel 8 Pro, and that would not change, even though that this hazel color on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is really not a bad one. But now let us talk about the fingerprint scanner on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, because this is one another place where there is a lot of improvement over here. Because now gone is the old optical fingerprint scanner that we saw on the Google Pixel 8 Pro, and now we have got the all new ultrasonic fingerprint scanner on this thing, which does use the sound waves to be able to make a 3D print of your finger, and it is again a much more secured way to be able to unlock this device over here rather than having the optical one that we saw in the last years of Google smartphone. And also it is a bit more reliable, even though I would still say that it is a bit more slower than what you have on some of the other devices like the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra or even the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra from the past year. But again, I would say it is a great improvement on this device over here. Now another improvement that I saw on this device that was surprising to me is the speakers on this device, because yes, they are a bit more louder, or I would say they are a quite more louder than what you had on the Google Pixel 8 Pro from the past year. And also I noticed that the haptics on this device are way much more better than what I have on my iPhone, and this is something that I just love about this Google Pixel devices over here. And those are again the haptics, and I just love every bit of using this device just because of the great haptics on this device over here. So something again that you should know over here. But now on to the things again that are, I would say, some of them are me and some of them are those that are making the experience on this device way much more worse than I would expect from this device over here. And I'm talking about the G4 Tensor chip on this device, and that is not again even the whole story. I think the slowness of this device is just not because of this G4 Tensor chip, because I did a lot of testing on this device over here, and also in my 3D benchmarks for the stress loop, it shows that this device is a bit more stable than what we saw with the Google Pixel 8 Pro. And again, the thermal efficiency of this device is better just because of the vapor chamber that we have got on this device. That is a new thing for the Pixels again. But again, the story is not the complete one, because yes, it is again a very slow device, and in comparison to something like the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra or the iPhone 16 Pro Max, I would say it is way much more behind. And this just makes the experience of using this smartphone a bit more worse than what this smartphone is really capable of, just because of all the AI features on this device. And even I noticed that the RAM and the storage on this device is slower than its competitor, that is again the iPhone and the Samsung smartphones. And also the modem on this smartphone is not the best one. I did see a lot of network drops on this device over here, especially the Wi-Fi drops on this thing is just insane, even though that the networks are just decent on this device over here, but they are not as good as what you would expect from a device. And again, this was a problem with the Google Pixel 8 Pro as well, but on this thing I think that it is way much more slower than what I was expecting. Now I was just downloading a few games from the Google Play Store, and even the Genshin Impact, that it does have another package to download when you download the game, and it took about 40 minutes for me to download just one game from the Google Play Store. And even though that I have a very fast internet, that is a gigabit internet along with an optical fiber, and the uploads and the download speed on this one is just insane. I have got about 1.5 gigabyte of download and about 1 gigabyte of upload speed, and this thing over here, it just does not deliver at all in the terms of the Wi-Fi, or I would say the general modem that we have on this device over here. It is just way too slow for me. But again, I would say it should not be a compromise on a device that starts at 1500 Canadian dollars for a 128 gigabyte of variant. That is another thing that I do not like about this device. If you want to buy again this hazel color as of right now, the only way to get this in the Canadian market is that you need to have this in the 256 gigabyte of variant, because the base variant in here in Canada as of right now, it is just offered in this obsidian black color. Again, that is a bummer for me. But even more, there are some other critical issues that I came across after using this device for about 45 days. For example, I noticed that the application crashes so many times on this device. Even this YouTube application, for this entire day that I am using this device, it crashed about 6 to 7 times, and that was just within 1 minute of using this application over here. I checked in the Google Play Store, it was not updating, and there were just no updates on this thing over here, and that was again, that was a bummer for me. Or when you try to scroll through the YouTube feed or Instagram feed or even the Facebook feed, you feel like that the animations are a bit more slower. And or whenever you take a photograph on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, and when you try to open it and zoom it at the same time, it does take a lot of time to load, and that is again another bummer for me. Or even when you are trying to change a wallpaper on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, it does take insane amount of time to load the wallpaper and to be able to apply the very same thing. That is again, that is a bummer for me. Or even opening up any application on this device, it does take a bit more longer than all the other devices that I'm I'm comparing this device against. And also there is one another bug that I noticed on this device, and that is whenever you're trying to download an application from the Play Store, sometimes it does not show you in the app library. It happened a couple of times with me where in the Play Store it does show that it is installed and it is on your device, but when you try to scroll through or even search in this app library thing, you just do not see the application on your smartphone for some reason. And that again does not even go away after you restart this device. But I do not know that what is this bug and how to fix this thing, but this is something that I am experiencing with this device a lot. Now again, this device over here, it does feel a bit more warm to use after using it for some time, but again it is not as bad as what it was on the Google Pixel 8 Pro. But again, another thing that I've noticed on this device is that whenever you are into Google Chrome or any other browser application on this device, and when you are trying to type something on this thing over here, it does just not want you to type anything, and the keyboard, it just feels a bit more laggy. And also the touch input on this device, for some reason it just misbehaves sometimes. So sometimes I am on one of the application and trying to do something, it would just not register the input that what I'm trying to do over there, and it would just click somewhere else on the home screen, and that is again something that I do not want. But something again, it is one of the list of the bugs that I am seeing on these devices, and again this list is a very huge one, and that is again the experience that I am getting with this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, and this is my honest opinion. Now after experiencing all these issues, I wanted to dig more into this thing over here, and I finally benchmarked this G4 Tensor chip, and to my surprise, this device over here is barely even closer to what we have on the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, and that is what the benchmark shows. It is again on par with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor, and this again combined with the slower read and write speeds on the storage, it does make the entire experience on this smartphone a bit more worse than what you would want it to be. And also again, this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, it does have a bit of edge because it has got a 16GB of RAM, that is again more than what you have in most of the smartphones in the market. But again, 3GB of this storage, it is reserved for the AI tasks on this smartphone. That does make the AI experience on this device a bit more better than all the other devices that we have in the market right now. But now, as we are talking about the AI, let us discuss about all the AI features on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL over here. But before that, I just want to talk about one thing on this device. Now we have got a lot of good AI features on this device, but because of a lot of AI features that you have on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, I would say the experience of using AI on this device is a bit more confusing. Now just take a look at this. You have got the Google Gemini AI along with the Gemini Live, and also you have got the Gemini Advanced, and also the Google Search Assistants, along with you have also got those dedicated applications for AI on this device over here. And all of these applications, they just do not talk very well to each other, and I would say the only good case over here is Gemini being able to use the Google Search Assistants. But every time you are using this thing over here, it does show that the results are being taken from the Google Search Assistants, and at that point I just should not know that what is really the meaning for this Gemini AI on this device over here, because most of those tasks were I think were already being done with this Google Search Assistants, and again that makes the entire experience of using this device a bit more confusing. But now there are two different categories of AI on this device. One of them is really the system integrated AI features, and the other one is really the one that is very specific for the camera application. Now let me first start with the ones that are the system specific ones, and the number one application that I want to start with is this Pixel screenshot application on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, and this is basically a feature that allows you to save all your screenshots in one place, and again it needs to be backed up on your Google Photos application, even though that Google says that the data would not be shared with the Google services in any way. But how it works is that it just takes a backup of your photographs, it creates different indexes, and also you would see some of the keyboards that are basically the indexes over here that you would be able to use to search all these things over here. And for most of the screenshots that does have a link attached to it, the Google Photos application would be able to recognize, or I would say this Pixel Pixel screenshot application, it would be able to recognize the very same thing and it would give you a link in the search results as well. But again, this is something that is useful to some people, but to the other ones I do not think so it is a very useful application. The second application that I like, or I would say this is a main application, is the Pixel Studio, and that again allows you to create an image from a text prompt. And this is again something to what we have on the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6 as well, but that feature is basically a sketch to image. But the idea is same, that you can use text to be able to create an image over here, and also you can use some of the text and heading and just add some stickers as well to this thing. But you got the point, this is again something that is a gimmick to most of the people. But now the third thing over here that was particularly interesting to me was this YouTube summary feature. Basically what it does is that whenever you are in this YouTube application and you are on a video, and that video is, say it is a 24-minute long or a 30-minute long video, and you just want a general summary of the very same thing. Now what you can do is that you can use this button over here to be able to bring this Gemini assistance, and what it will be able to do is that now you can just ask this thing over here to create a summary of this YouTube video, and it takes about 10 seconds or 15 seconds to be able to process and give you the summary of whatever you want from this YouTube thing over here. But again, you have this thing, and if you just want, it is again there. Now there are some other features that I did really like about this thing, and the number one feature is again the reimagine as feature on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, and basically it is a part of the magic editor on this device, and it allows you to select various parts of the photo or to be able to draw around it, and to select that image portion over there. And what this thing will be able to do is that you can just use a text prompt to convert whatever part of the image you want to convert into something else, and it will give you an entirely different or a new image. And there is again another feature that I liked about this thing, and that is the weather application on this thing. And that was something that I thought is a bit more gimmick, but when I got the updates on this weather application over here, it is much more customizable. And also again, you have got this AI weather summary report. That is something that is useful, at least to me, because sometimes when I'm traveling on the subways or TTC buses, I just know that what is the weather like, and should I just apply the sunscreen or should I just wear a raincoat. And this is something that this thing over here, it does suggest you really well. So not a gimmick over here. But now another thing that is not very exclusive to this device is the Gemini Live feature, and that is again another assistant on this device. Now again, this is a part of the Gemini Advanced, and what it really does is that it is a personal assistant, and you can just ask anything to it and it would just go with the flow of the conversation. If you just interrupt it somewhere in the conversation, it will slow down or it would stop, and you can just again continue the talk over there. And this is how it works. And again, in my opinion, it is quite accurate, and most of the time it does do the job, and it is better than all the other assistants that I have used in the past. So yes, definitely a much more better assistant on this thing. But again, I would not pay 30 Canadian dollars for this thing when it is just end of 1 year of using this device over here. But now again, there are some other features on this device that are the camera specific AI features. Now the features are like the Add Me feature. That is again something new, and what it really does is that you can just add another member to the group, or maybe if you want to take a group photograph and you are the one taking the photograph and you are not the part of the group. Now you take the photograph and then you go to the other side, then the other person can take your photograph and add you to the group. Fairly simple but fairly complicated at the same time. But some other features that I do love more than this thing over here is the zoom enhance feature. That is again something that allows you to zoom and crop into the photograph that you have already taken. Inside of this photos application, when you try to edit the photograph, you can zoom and crop and enhance the portion of the image that you want to be, and it is really simple. But now another feature that did get a boost on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is really the video boost feature on this device, and now it does work standard across this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. Whenever you are taking a video, you can just enable it, and every time that you take a videograph on this device, it will upload to the cloud. It would enhance that video and it would get back to you in the terms of this video boost thing over here. And again, you can see the original video along with this enhanced video over here as well. But another thing that is added to this video boost feature is really the 8K upscaling over here. And at first I thought that it was a gimmick. I did test it in the low lighting and the I would say the normal lighting conditions as well, and I would say that this thing over here, it does work like a charm. But now on to this cameras itself, you have got a very good and a capable camera system on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, and I think so that this camera is largely the same as this Google Pixel 8 Pro, but now again you have got some improvements in the terms of the ISP, and also the ultra wide camera sensor on this thing is a new and the improved one. So yes, you have got the same old 50 megapixel f1.68 aperture main camera sensor along with a new 48 megapixel f1.7 aperture, the ultra wide camera, and the third camera is again a 48 megapixel telephoto camera sensor, but it is again an f2.8 aperture over here. And again, I just love this camera setup over here, and there are just no complaints whatsoever. Now this camera does perform fairly well in the daylighting condition with great HDR, great details, and the shadows that does not hide when you are taking a photograph on this thing. But the only thing that this camera system that it does really lag behind is the edge detection on this camera sensor over here, and I do not know that what is the main reason, if it is a software bug or something. But I did notice when I compared the photographs on this thing against something like the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra or the iPhone 16 Pro Max, this thing over here was not just the best output, and again you could see a lot of blurriness on the edges and not the complete and the tuned edges over here. So something again that you would need to know over here. But a part of the experience of using the cameras on this thing is again how well this camera behaves in the night videos. And again, it is a great camera, but it is not as good as what you have got on some of the other devices. But again, you can use this video boost feature to just fix everything that this thing is not capable of. But again, I would say it just takes a lot more space than what I want to be. 800 megabyte for about 30 seconds of 8K upscaled video that you get out of this thing over here. And also for the other videos, it does take a lot of processing and the video file sizes are fairly large on this device over here. But now one thing that I loved about this device is the front camera on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, because now it is much more wider than what we had on the Google Pixel 8 Pro, and also it is a 42 megapixel camera sensor, and also the HDR that comes out of this front camera is also a good one. But again, it is not as good as what you have on some of the other devices, especially the newer iPhones and the Samsung smartphones, even though technically it should be a better and a bigger sensor on this device over here. Now next, let us talk about the zoom capabilities as well, because yet again I tried to take a few of the zoom photographs on this thing, and again the results were good because of the super res zoom on this device that does fix a lot of blurriness and the graininess in the images when you zoom a lot into it. But also because of this image enhanced feature, we can also recreate some of the scenes on this thing over here. That is again something that I would prefer on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL rather than having the zoom on something like the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra or the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So again, something that I just loved about this device. Now next, let us talk about the battery life on this device over here, because yet again I would say just because of this G4 Tensor chip, I was a bit more curious about to know that how is the battery on this thing, and I would say the battery is not as good as what you would expect. It is better than what you have on the Google Pixel 8 Pro, but I am still getting 7 hours of screen on time on this device. It could be that my usage of this device is a bit more different than what the other people might have, but it is again not as good as the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. That is a very hard smartphone to beat in my opinion. But now another thing that I noticed on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL is the charging behavior on this device. And even though that while I was using this device, most of the times it does not get really warm, but still I just do not see the charging speeds that are 45 watt, because every time it just never goes more than 37 watt or something on this device over here. And that is not something that Google claims, because they claim the charging on this device to be 45 watt over here. And also the cable that I'm using, it is supporting 100 watt of charging, and that is again something not a limitation if you would just want to say that. the cable that comes out of box is not compatible. So something I tested, and that is how I found out that it is not the issue with the cable, and it is really the issue with how Google is handling this device over here. And again, this device over here right now is on Android 14 as of filming this video, and maybe Google just fixes this thing with Android 15 when that thing would be finally here and available to be able to download it as an official firmware rather than using the beta one on this thing over here. And now that brings me to the gaming on this device, because I know a lot of people would want to know the very same thing on this device. And even though that gaming on this device is a bit more better than the Google Pixel 8 Pro, but I would still say that there are a lot of frame drops on this device. I tested this thing with PUBG and the Genshin Impact, and I was just seeing a lot of frame drops on this device over here. So something you should consider while you are considering this device over here, that it is a good AI device, but it is not a good gaming device to use over here. And well, now that brings me towards the end of this video, and the question really is that, is this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL really a good device or no? And the answer is that it is a really good device, but the problem is that this is not the fastest device that you can get in the market. And even though that this has got a lot of AI features, the experience is just subpar on this device. And also for 1629 Canadian dollars, I think that it is too much money to ask for this device for 256GB of variant. And for that amount of money, I would say just add some more money and buy something like the iPhone 16 Pro Max, or even pay half of the price and buy something like the Google Pixel 8 Pro, or to start with just buy something like the regular Google Pixel 9 instead of picking this thing over here. And well, that was all that I wanted to share in this video. My name is Anshul. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.